Focus on getting out of your own way. All right. Here's the thing we talk about in the 3P framework, and this is why culture is so big. 80% of your restaurant's problems are psychology. That's your mindset. 20% of your restaurant problems are systems and strategy. But here's the thing. Most restaurant owners, when they come looking for solutions, they focus on the 20%. Hey, Donald, I just need some new checklists. Hey, Luke, I just need marketing. Hey, what's our marketing campaign? What's our plan? That's systems and strategy. That's only 20% of restaurant success. 80% of all your restaurant success is psychology. And when these two merge together, when your psychology and your systems and strategies kind of all come together, that's where culture is born. Culture is the kind of bridge between what you want and what you get. It's hard to describe culture. It's hard to see the impact on culture because culture is a feeling. It's like brand. Okay, brand is a feeling. It's the feeling your guests have about you. Culture is the feeling your team has about you. So, are you ready to get out of your own way? Ready to destroy those limiting beliefs that are killing your culture and also killing your profitability? If you are, then we start off with number one, understand what limiting beliefs are. And limiting beliefs, I'm telling you, these are sneaky little bastards. They are. They're stories you've told yourself for so long that you think they're facts. All right, here's some. These are ones I actually hear all the time. You know, Donald, if I want it done right, I have to do it myself. Oh, you don't understand, man. Good help is impossible to find these days. You know, Donald, no one cares about the restaurant like I do. I just can't afford to invest in training systems or coaching right now. I just can't afford it. Oh, Donald, my team they just don't get it. Has anyone said any of these before? Type in the chat yes if you've said anything close to these before. 9 times out of 10, everyone's going to say, yeah, I've said at least one of those things before. The problem is these things are all very, very familiar. And here's the thing. They're not just innocent thoughts. They are the very barriers that prevent you from building a culture of excellence. Why? Because beliefs shape behavior. When you believe your team, and here's the biggest thing I'll tell you. When you believe your team can't be trusted, you micromanage. When you believe money is always tight, you pinch pennies at the cost of long-term gains. Your beliefs dictate how you act. Hashtag write that shit down. Your beliefs dictate how you act, and your actions create the results that you get in your restaurant. Another thing that you got to understand is that beliefs are very contagious because your team mirrors your mindset. If you're constantly stressed, if you're constantly negative, you're stuck in scarcity, that scarcity mentality, scarcity mindset, guess what? That vibe spreads faster than a kitchen fire. And then, sadly, beliefs become reality, right? Thoughts do become things. If you operate from a place of, well, this is as good as it gets, or, that's exactly what you're going to get, my friends. Hashtag write this shit down. What you tolerate becomes your standard. Write that down. Put it on your forearm if you have to. I want you to blaze that into your brain. What you tolerate becomes your standard. All right. So you're going to have to take a hard look in the mirror. What beliefs are running the show right now? I mean, you got to be brutally honest. I tell them all my clients and all my coaching programs the same thing. You don't have to impress me. You just got to be honest with me. Okay. You don't have to impress me. You just got to be honest with me. I cannot help you unless you're brutally honest. If it sucks, just say it sucks. If you're bleeding out $20,000 a month, just tell me you're bleeding out $20,000 a month. Right. So many times people don't want to tell me what's going on. And then I give you a prescription to fix an ailment, but I don't know the whole symptoms of what's going on. And then what happens is I give you a wrong prescription. You got to be honest with me. It's like the GPS in a car. If you don't tell me your actual location, where you are and where you want to go, the GPS is going to just give you directions to anywhere. It's not going to help you out, right? Until you name it, you cannot tame it. So let's talk about the destructive impact of limiting beliefs on culture. Culture isn't just about perks or about policies. Culture is about energy. It's about expectations. It's about the values that pulse through your team every single day. When your limiting beliefs are in the driver's seat, here's what's going to happen. And I'm going to go back over some of those limiting beliefs that I've heard over the years, countless times from restaurant owners. Okay. I know in the chat, like I probably said all of these. Yeah. Most of the time you do. These are your limiting beliefs. That's why we always focus so much on the mindset in the culture piece. Okay. Micromanagement becomes the norm. So the belief, if I want it done right, I have to do it myself. This was my number one belief at my first restaurant. Oh my God. I had this belief. If I want it done right, I just got to do it myself. What happens is that the team never feels trusted. So they stop trying. I mean, why bother stepping up when the boss is just going to take over anyway? This creates a culture of disengagement where the team members do the bare minimum to avoid conflict. Next one, scarcity thinking stifles growth. Belief. Oh, Donald, I can't afford to invest in training, a coaching program, or better systems right now. I just can't. When you say this, you stay stuck in a cycle of mediocrity. Your team doesn't grow because they're not being developed. Your processes stay stuck or broken because you haven't invested in fixing them. You're basically the definition of insanity. You're doing this. You're going to work every day, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. You need new tools. You need new training. You need new mindsets, right? And what happens is your profits, they stagnate too because you're just so focused on surviving that you don't even think about thriving. The possibility is horrible. This is that scarcity mindset. When you have scarcity mindset, when you're penny pinching, it will impact everything you do across the board. Another thing you have to be aware of is that negativity breeds resentment. Here's another common one. Donald, no one cares about this restaurant like I do. That's another thing I used to say at my first restaurant. What happens is your team feels undervalued and unappreciated. They see your frustration, and here's the problem. They take it personally. So instead of building a culture of collaboration and shared ownership where they own their shit, you create one of resentment and turnover. Every restaurant owner who says no one cares about this restaurant like I do has high turnover. They're also the same people who complain that there's just no good people out there, which is not true. Okay. Avoidance erodes accountability. All right. Here's another one I hear a lot. Why didn't you say something to the team members? Oh, it's just easier to avoid conflict than to deal with it. It's just easier just to avoid it. It's just easier for me to do it than to deal with it or just say something. Right. When you do this, toxic behavior goes unchecked. Mediocrity becomes acceptable. The good people on your team get fed up and they leave while the slackers stay put. Mediocrity is a breeding ground for slackers. There's an old joke out there. You want to reduce your turnover? Hire a bunch of losers because they don't ever want to leave, because especially if you don't hold them accountable for stuff, if you got low standards, man, they love your place because there's not a lot of expectations on them. They can just kind of come in and just get by with the bare minimum and keep their jobs. And they'll bitch and complain all day. They won't do the work the right way. They won't follow the recipes. They'll piss off the guests. They don't piss off each other. They don't care. Right. The next thing you have to understand, this is where a lot of you guys go sideways too, is that perfectionism kills innovation. Here's something I heard from a restaurant owner about a week ago. Mistakes are unacceptable. I do not tolerate mistakes. I tell my team, we do not make mistakes. All right. Human beings make mistakes. And if you have this kind of philosophy, now if you go from one extreme to the other where you're too soft and now super aggressive and super hard lined, your team's going to stop taking risk. They're going to play it safe because they're afraid of being punished for failure. Creativity dies, and with it, any chance of true innovation of growth. right? I'll give you a great example where this one comes into play. Waste sheets, waste logs. Everyone should have a waste log in their kitchen. Now, a lot of people don't want to put stuff on the waste log because they're afraid about getting in trouble. If I put something on the waste log, Luke's going to yell at me. You got to tell the team up front that the waste logs are not as a punishment tool. It's a training tool. I need you to put whatever we make mistakes on, like we burned a tray of bacon, we dropped a gallon of sauce on the floor by mistake. I just need to know what's happening so I can track it, and also I can make adjustments to our training if I have to. Right? Perfectionism is the worst thing. Don't ever say you're a perfectionist. You're not. You're using it as an excuse to avoid doing the real work. All right. Now, the scary part is that these limiting beliefs often feel rational. The beautiful thing about human beings is that you can rationalize anything, but rational doesn't mean right. And if you're not willing to challenge these beliefs, you're never ever going to break free. So first thing we have to do is we have to identify what are our limiting beliefs. All right. Most of us are blind to our own bullshit. That's what I call blind spots. That's why coaching is so powerful. Coaching gives me, I love coaching because it allows me to see you from a different point of view. Your blind spots are what's crushing you right now. And the downside is, again, you don't know what your blind spots are because they're blind spots. Limiting beliefs feel sometimes so ingrained into who we are that we don't even question them. We think they're the rules. Right? That's why it's so critical and crucial to actively identify and dismantle them. How we do that? I'm going to give you a step-by-step process. Number one, listen to your language. Most powerful thing I teach all my certified restaurant coaches is it's not what people say, it's what they don't say. So when you're talking to me on a coaching call, I'm listening to what you say, but I'm also listening to what you don't say. I'm also listening to the pronouns you use. Okay. Language is so powerful. I can tell you right away, just by hearing a restaurant owner talk or hearing a team talk, I know exactly what kind of culture you have. If you have a toxic, a training, a learning, or a leadership culture, just by the words you use. I don't have to see anything in action. Just by the language you use, by the language your team uses when they're talking to each other, I can tell you exactly where your culture is just by the words you use. It's so cool. All right. You got to pay attention to the words you use, especially when you're talking to your team or especially to yourself. Are you saying things like always or never? Oh, that never works. Oh, we always do that. Oh, we've tried everything. Absolutes, when people use absolutes like always, never, can't, those are red flags. All right. You want to change something overnight? Instead of saying, here's a powerful thing to say. Instead of ever saying I can't, say I won't. Like when someone calls and says, hey, can you do a call? Like, I can't do a call that, or I can't do a call at that time. Well, why not? Now they're going to push me and stuff like that. If I say I won't do a call at that time, I have certain meetings already going on. I won't do a call. That just means that you're standing up for your beliefs. You're putting a line in the sand. Be very, very careful of your language. Another thing you want to do is you want to start tracking your reactions. When something goes wrong, how do you react? Or here's a big question. Do you react or do you respond? Most people react. Reaction is emotional. Response is logical. And when most people react, they automatically do what we call BS, blame and shame, right? Do you spiral into frustration? Do you get angry? Do you yell and scream? These default reactions often point to deeper beliefs about control, about trust, and about your own self-worth. Trust me, spent years of therapy dealing with this shit. It's very, very powerful. Okay. And another thing you have to do is you have to start asking yourself some very, very hard questions. What stories are you telling yourself about why things are the way they are? Okay. What am I avoiding because it feels uncomfortable or scary? What's one belief I'm holding on to right now that might not be true? Take that question right there and type in the chat. What's one belief that you might be holding on to right now that might not be true? What's one belief that you might be holding on to? This is an interactive workshop. Type in the chat, what's one belief you're holding on to right now that might not be true? There's no good people out there. I have to do everything myself. I can't trust my team. What's one belief that you're holding on to right now? These are stories. Hashtag write this down, right? Divorce the story, find the truth. Divorce the story, find the truth. The truth will set you free. Most of the time we have a story around this stuff. Like, yeah, Pamela, I have to be in my restaurant every day. You don't have to be. You choose to be. Okay. I can't trust my team. These are all this. I hear these ones every time. You know, the beautiful thing about these calls is great. Do you notice that the problems that you see, the problems that you have are the same problems everyone on the call has? Why? Because all business problems are people problems. It's what coaching works on. Coaching works on the people part. Because I tell you, systems and strategy is pretty easy. It's the people part that messes it all up. And then you got to make sure you're getting some honest feedback. You got to have a trusted mentor, a coach, or maybe even somebody on your team. The question you want to ask yourself is, what do you see me doing that's holding this restaurant back? Fair warning, the answer will sting. You don't want to hear the truth. In my very first book, Your Restaurant Sucks, the very first quote in that book is this: the truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. It's so true. Okay. It's so true. Okay. And the next thing you want to do is you want to start looking at the results. If your culture sucks, trust me, it's not random. The results you're getting are a byproduct of your belief you're operating from. You need to own it. Hashtag write that down. The results you're getting are a byproduct of the beliefs you're operating from. What we call this is your mental operating system. A lot of times you have to upgrade your operating system, like your laptops, your computers, your phones. They all get updated operating systems all the time. When was the last time you updated your operating system for you? That's a big game changer right there. We're so focused on the mechanical part of the restaurant, the checklist, the marketing, the menu, the sales. We're so focused on that stuff, we don't focus on the things that really, really change everything. And that's our mindset, our belief systems, our culture. All right. So let's set out to destroying some limiting beliefs. Once you've identified some limiting beliefs, you got to go to war. And when I say go to war, I mean war, not just a little fist fight. I mean, you got to say, like, I am like determined to conquer this and win this. When you go to war with it, you're all in, 100% committed, no going back, no easy days. You're just saying, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get where I need to go. Right? You got to declare war on your own internal beliefs. How do we do that? Challenge the narrative. Every belief, again, every belief is just a story you're telling yourself. So to break free, what you want to do is you want to identify the story and then you want to rewrite it. We call it in NLP, neuro-linguistic program, we call this a reframe. Reframing is so powerful. It is the most powerful tool I teach in coaching, how to reframe stuff. So a limiting belief. Oh, Donald, good help is impossible to find. New belief. Well, the right team members are out there. I just need to attract them with clarity and purpose and a better culture. Limiting belief. If I want it done right, I got to do it myself. New belief. Empowering my team to take ownership will create better results in the long run. This stuff is so powerful. You got to challenge those narratives. You got to, first thing you have to do is identify the narrative, and then you got to reframe them. And then what you do is once I reframe them, I have a new belief. I have to take massive action to confirm that belief. Remember, beliefs are not just mental. They're reinforced by your actions. So if you want, if you want to believe your team is capable, start delegating and let them prove it. One of the most beautiful, most powerful things I teach all my clients is that if you don't trust your team, you're not training your team enough. You got to train the trust. And our mantra is we don't train them till they get it right. We train them till they can't get it wrong. You want to believe that investing in systems pays off. Put money into tracking and training and measuring ROI, right? If you want to understand your food cost, get a food cost program. You want to start understanding stuff at a deeper level, take action to prove that your beliefs are where you're putting your money where your mouth is basically what I was saying, right? And another thing you want to do is surround yourself with better influences. Your environment reinforces your belief. You heard this saying probably 100,000 times. You are basically the makeup of the 5 people you hang out with most, right? Your inner circle reflects your outer circle. Your environment reinforces your beliefs. If you're constantly surrounded by negative people, small-minded people, guess what? That's exactly who you become. Get around people who challenge and inspire you to think bigger. One of my most powerful things I love, and I'm a huge believer in coaching. I have quite a few coaches. I have a business coach. I have a marketing coach. I have a voice coach. I have a mindset coach. I have a fitness coach. I have a coach for almost every area of my life that I want to improve. Why? Because coaching makes me better. Because I invest in coaching because I know that they will give me the advice I need. I want to be around people who get it, who think at a higher level than what I think at. All right. You got to surround yourself with better influences. That's why I love mastermind groups. Every month I go out to a business mastermind group I belong to out. And right now we're going out to California. Next year, they're moving the location to Florida. So I'll be going to Miami every month. But it's like 2 days where I get to be around high level people that are just high level achievers that they just crush life. One of the things you want to start doing is have this kind of philosophy. And this has served me well over the last 2 years. Never take advice from anybody who makes less money than you do. That's really good advice. Don't take advice from anybody who makes less money than you do. Right? That's powerful. And then, of course, focus on progress, not perfection. Limiting beliefs thrive on fear of failure. Failure is just feedback. Hashtag write that shit down. Failure is just feedback, right? Failure is just feedback. You got to shift your focus from avoiding mistakes to making progress. I love when I fail. You might think that's like the craziest thing to hear. I love it when I fail. That means there's an opportunity to learn, grow, and develop and become better. Celebrate the wins, no matter how small they are. Every step forward is a step in the right direction. Right. And then you must develop and adopt what's known as a growth mindset. Growth mindset is the only way to ever get the culture you want. Okay. And again, growth mindset, there's a great book out there. Carol Dweck has a book. It's called Mindset. Go figure, right? She talks about fixed mindset and growth mindset. It's very, very powerful. You have to understand that growth mindset isn't a fancy buzzword. It's actually realizing that every challenge, every mistake, every setback is an opportunity to learn, grow, and develop. When you embrace growth, you stop seeing limitations and you start seeing the possibilities. And that is a game changer. All right. So once you've destroyed those beliefs that are killing you and your culture, it's time to rebuild. How do we rebuild it? Culture thrives on a few things. Number one, you got to define your core values. That's why in the Accelerator program, we have a workshop called the Know Why Workshop. The Know Why Workshop will help you understand exactly your mission. We call it the triad. Your mission, your core values, and your vision, your why. It's so powerful because your team needs to know what you stand for. What are the non-negotiables that guide your restaurant? Clarity on values creates alignment and eliminates confusion. When your team's confused, you lose. Write that shit down. When your team's confused, you lose. Remember in the very second slide I showed you, I said all business problems are people problems. All people problems are communication problems. All communication problems are lack of proper communication, undeclared, unexplained expectations. You assumed they know what to do. right? Assumption is the mother of all F-ups in the restaurant industry. Never, ever assume. And never assume that they understand that it's just common sense. Common sense does not exist in the restaurant business. Everyone knows that. Second thing you got to do is you got to lead with vulnerability. Your team doesn't need you to be perfect. They need you to be real. They're going to follow you if you admit your mistakes, if you share your struggles, if you show them what it looks like to grow. One of the things I'm really big on doing on social media is documenting my own journey of my changes in my physical appearance, my new fitness routine, the supplements I take, my mindset, all the things I do to make myself a better person. I document all that on social media because I want you to see that I'm going through growth too, and I'm changing. And if I'm doing it, you should be doing it too, right? 3, make sure you invest in development. If you want your team to grow, you got to give them tools, training, coaching programs, systems that empower your team to excel. So powerful, right? Number 4, you got to celebrate the wins. High performance cultures are built on momentum. Celebrate every win, big or small, and then watch how it energizes your team. Number 5, write this one down. Hold everyone, including yourself, accountable. Remember, accountability isn't about punishment. It's about clarity and consistency. When everyone knows the standards and expectations, the culture will thrive. And then 6, you got to communicate that vision. Your team needs to know where you're going and why it matters. They want to see the bigger picture, because when they see the bigger picture, they're motivated to give their best. We have a practice we teach in the Accelerator program. It's called the Daily 5 Sermon. The Daily 5 Sermon is something you do every single day, multiple times a day. I know it's called Daily 5. It should be probably the multiple times a day sermon. Daily 5 Sermon is quite simple. Every day you're preaching. You're basically a culture preacher. You're preaching 5 things. Number 1, your mission. Number 2, your core values. Number 3, your why or your vision. Number 4, your standards, expectations. And number 5, you're giving words of appreciation, affirmation. That was great. That was positive. Thank you. The 2 most powerful words you can start using today in your restaurants to start changing the culture is thank you. When was the last time you walked up to someone in your team and just said thank you? I had a rule at my restaurants that I never, ever broke. I never left the restaurant without walking up to everyone on the team, looking them in the eye, shaking their hand, and saying thank you and give them a compliment on one thing I noticed they did that day. You want to change your culture overnight? Just be a little more appreciative. Just to walk around, start saying thank you. It's a game changer. Okay. And another thing I need you to really buy into is that your limiting beliefs are not the final chapter. The stories you tell yourself about your team, about your culture, about your restaurant, they're only true because you decided they're true. Holy shit, that's a game changer right there. I mean, you've spent years, maybe decades, reinforcing these limiting beliefs with the patterns, the behaviors, the habits that make it feel impossible to break. They're not permanent. There's a great thing out there in psychology called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is that your brain is not fixed. You actually can rewire your brain. Okay. You can rewire your brain to believe new things. Is it easy? No. One of the reasons why you need a coach. You need a coach who understands mental fortitude, mental toughness, mental discipline that can help you guide you through these belief systems. In the Accelerator program, in the 2.0 program, we have a very, very powerful workshop that I included in the Accelerator 2.0. It's called Mindset Reset. It is the number one thing that changes your game is when you start changing your mindset. And I will give you all the tools and how to actually step by step break down these beliefs, start challenging those old beliefs, start rewriting and reframing new beliefs, and then how to implement them with new habits to actually start getting really, really good results. Okay. So what would it look like? What would it look like if your culture was truly amazing? I mean, what would your culture look like if you truly believe that your team is capable, that your team is motivated when given the tools and trusted to succeed? What would your restaurant look like if you started investing in systems, trainings, coaching, development that would create exponential returns? I mean, 10x your stuff. What would your restaurant look like if you started believing that delegating is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of leadership? What would happen if you believe that mistakes are a stepping stone to mastery? What would it look like if you believed growth is inevitable when we commit to progress, not perfection? Now, this is the mindset shift that I push for all my restaurant owners to have. And here's the thing, it's not just about swapping out old limiting beliefs for new ones. It's about actually taking those old beliefs, rewriting them, reframing them, stepping into them, living them, modeling them, and building systems that actually reinforce them daily. Because when you do this, there's going to be a huge ripple effect on your culture. It's going to be like just like a big rock in the water. It's going to send out ripples across the surface, right? Hashtag write this down. Culture flows down, doesn't flow up, right? When you break free from your limiting beliefs and rebuild your culture on a foundation of trust, empowerment, and clarity, that ripple effect is undeniable. So what's going to happen? Well, there's quite a few things that are the byproduct of having a culture like that, changing your mindset and changing culture. Number one, your team becomes more engaged. I mean, an engaged team, they don't just show up. They show up with passion. They're fired up. They're excited to come to work. They're willing to go the extra mile because they feel valued, aligned, and inspired by a bigger purpose. You want to find out where your culture is right now? Here's the most powerful thing you can do. It's an easy exercise. Walk up to 5 random, pick out 5, 10 people on your team. Ask them one simple question. You ready? The question is this: why do you come to work? There's 2 answers. I have to, or I want to. Have to's, if you have more people on your team that say, I have to come to work, I have to be here, then you're on the borderline of a toxic culture. You need more people on your team that want to be there because they love the place. I just love it here. It's amazing. I love showing up. I love the team. I love the guests. I love the food. I love what we do. I love our mission. That's a fast way to figure out where's your culture at right now. You want to put your finger on the pulse right away and figure out where your culture is? Just walk around and actively ask people on your team, why do you come to work? Have to or want to? You want more want tos, less have tos. All right. Another beautiful thing, when I start having this positive culture ripple down, it really impacts my turnover. Turnover becomes a thing of the past. When your culture thrives, people don't just stay, they become advocates. We call them brand advocates. They tell others about it's a great place to work. They help you attract top talent. I noticed this when I went from my first restaurant, when I was struggling to after I got a business coach and he started helping me, kind of formulate this 3P framework that we actually started putting into motion. When I really started getting a really great culture, a really, really learning culture, and then I started elevating to that leadership culture, I'm telling you, my turnover dropped to almost nothing. The only time I had turnover is someone moved. That was it. If someone moved, that was the only time I had turnover. I had people on my team that were with me for years and years and years. It's a great thing. Okay. Another thing you want to remember is that culture, when I have a really positive culture and I've changed my mindset, it's going to rapidly escalate my productivity. Because a team that feels empowered and trusted, they're going to work smarter, they're going to work faster, they're going to be better, they're going to be accountable. They're not wasting energy navigating dysfunction or second guessing decisions or having to just sit there, I don't know what to do. Clarity is power. And then, of course, innovation will flourish. When people aren't afraid to take risks or make mistakes, creativity in your restaurant thrives. I really found this to be huge when I was doing menu creation with my restaurants. I would have the whole team involved. We would get a huge piece of butcher paper put out on the table. I would write out some of the ideas I had for maybe the fall menu or the winter menu. I'd write out some ideas, and then they would just take crayons and they would just go crazy brainstorming. And we would just start taking ideas and putting it together. It's a great way to get stuff. Innovation is awesome, because when the team is collaborating with you, they're bought in on the project because they help contribute to it. And then another thing you want to remember, and I mentioned this before, your profits reflect your culture. Happy teams lead to happy guests, and happy guests lead to a profitable, highly sustainable business. It's that simple. Remember that restaurant success pyramid, right? Toxic restaurants, losing money. A training restaurant, a training culture will do like the national average. You'll do anywhere from 2 to 6% profit. You won't be able to get above that. Maybe 8, maybe 8, maybe. You need a learning culture to be able to get above 8%, right? 10% or higher, you need a learning culture. And if you ever want to get to that outstanding level, 18% or higher, you definitely need a accountability or leadership culture. There is a correlation between culture and profitability every single time. Every single time. Okay. Final thoughts. Let's wrap this baby up, shall we? Your culture isn't just about your restaurant. It's about your legacy. It's about how you show up, how you impact, the kind of impact you leave on your brand, the lives you touch along the way. Destroying your limiting beliefs isn't just about improving your bottom line. It's about stepping into the leader that you were always meant to be. So what's it going to be? You're going to keep letting fear, doubt, old stories dictate your future? Or are you ready to get out of your own way and build something extraordinary? I mean, the choice is yours. But remember this, your team deserves better. Your guests deserve better. And most importantly, you deserve better. I mean, the time to act is now, right? So if you want to take some action, over the last 15 years, my coaching programs have helped over 3,000 independent restaurants all across the world, all right? The main reason is that coaching provides you 2 critical elements that you can't get on your own. It gives you accountability and gives you new tools. It's kind of like you can get a workout routine and you can go to the gym and you can follow the routine. But if you have a personal trainer who's there to push you and say, 1 more rep, no, you can do it like this, or your form's wrong. No, do it like this. You're going to get a lot better results. That's one of the reasons I think I'm getting a lot faster results with my fitness plan is I have a coach who actually coaches me all the time on how to get better, right? Coaching is just like having a personal trainer for your restaurant. Right? I've had some people say that coaching with me, it's kind of like running your restaurant on rocket fuel. It's that fast, that powerful. All right. Now, the Restaurant Accelerator program is hands down my most successful program over the years. It is a series of workshops. When you sign up for the Accelerator program, you're going to get a lot of material. You're going to get a lot of different workshops. You're going to get access to over, I think it's 200 and something hours of videos, 380 downloads. You're going to have every workshop you need to be highly, highly successful. Everything you need. And again, if you follow the frame, you'll win the game. All you got to do is just follow the roadmap. I have the roadmap planned out. It's been battle tested with thousands of restaurants. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to think about what's next. I will tell you exactly step by step what to do. All you have to do is just do it. It's not that hard. And then you're also going to get a one-on-one coach to help hold you accountable. One of my certified restaurant coaches I've handpicked out over the years. Okay. These people all have restaurant owner experience. So it's not like you're getting advice from someone who never owned a restaurant. I think if you're going to be a restaurant coach, you should have owned a restaurant because I think it's very, very powerful. Okay. You have to understand the mindset of being a restaurant owner and the stress that comes with being a restaurant owner. Those sleepless nights, those waking up at 2 a.m, like, oh my God, payroll's due and sales tax is due. Oh my God. I gave that vendor that big check. I hope it's a busy weekend so the check clears on Monday. Right. 200 hours, 380 downloads, everything you need to have a highly profitable restaurant. All you got to do is just speak to someone on the restaurant growth team, talk to Luke. I think Luke will probably put up a link in the chat, whatever he does. Luke does his little magic mojo thing he does.
Yeah, you guys can email me or Slack me and we can discuss or get you set up.
Anybody have any questions? I'd like to open this up right now for anybody who has any questions for me. anything. Doesn't have to be about culture, doesn't have to be about mindset, limiting beliefs. Could be about anything. I love questions. So another thing you get when you get the accelerator program, you also get group calls too. So you get a lot of coaching. So you get a one-on-one call with your certified restaurant coach, plus you get 3 group calls a week with me. All right.